So those Gnostic Gospels are written, as Ask said earlier, about 200 to 400 years after Jesus, right? So those
Yeah.
now remember, those are also considered heretical. They were considered
Mhm.
heretical by the early church already. They were heretical when they were written, right? So no one believed them then except heretics. So now Islam, Muhammad obviously drew from those gospels, and that to him was Jesus. And then he obviously read the Bible much later, right? By that
Right.
time, he'd already thought that these heretical gospels were canon. Now, I will note that there is the monk at the well. I think, no, not the monk at the well. There is, for some reason, the name escapes me right now. But according to, if you read the Sirah, the traditions, he married his wife Khadija, whose cousin, whose maternal cousin married them. He was a Nestorian
Mm.
priest, Nestorian Christian priest, heretical priest. So this man, now some rumors have it that this man was actually his father, right? Now again,
Oh, yeah.
I've
Yeah.
so this rumor is that this man was actually his father because according to some stories that I've read again, Muhammad's father died 4 years before he was born, which in Islam is just normal Islamic maths, and it's Tuesday, right?
It's history. That's just how they do history, man. That's just how.
It's how
That's
Islam
logic for you.
rolls. Okay,
Yeah,
his
they
father
don't
died
understand
four
that
years
too
before he
far
was
logic.
born. Yeah, so in Islamic law, you can have a 4 year gestation, not 9 months. They don't do 9 months. They do up to 4 years. All good. All good,
It's
man.
like Austin Powers being cryogenically frozen. Embryo was frozen for 4 years.
Yeah, exactly. So
Uh,
understand. So there's this possibility. So he obviously learned from this Nestorian priest. He learned things, and then of course there's the stories. That's Waraka ibn Nawfal. Yeah, Waraka ibn Nawfal. That was the guy that married he and his wife Khadija, right? So we know that this man was a Nestorian priest, and it's very likely he learned these stories from this man, who may have been his father. In other cases, when he was like 9 or 10 years old, he met another monk, okay, called Buhaira, known as Georges, okay, the French Georges, who was also and also he met a monk called Nestor, okay, just so conveniently, a Nestorian monk called Nestor. So there's stories in the Sirah of at least three heretical Christian sects, of three
mhm.
Gnostic sects, where he
Yeah.
had direct contact with monks from three heretical sects that he learned from. So there's very strong possibilities this is where they get the idea of Isa, because these stories are in the books of those Gnostic sects. The Isa is mentioned there, and that's where they got the ideas of Jesus.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's a whole topic on its own, and we can go into the Gnostic stuff and how it came later. I know Sneakers Corner actually, Mel, you've got some really interesting theories when it comes to Isa also. And one thing I would want to note here really quick before we get off of here is almost all of the stories that are biblically based that are in the Quran, and I use biblically based loosely, come from more of a Gnostic source or a secondary source or Mishnah and Targum and stuff like that from the Jewish sources. Like almost none of the stories are straightforward stories that were written in the Bible. They're all like children's stories, like with Solomon flying on
Correct.
a magic carpet and talking to ants and the seven sleepers and all these things. Like these are all just bedtime stories for children that apparently Muhammad doesn't know the difference between a fiction and a fact. And for whatever reason, he decided to put all the fictions into his book as opposed to the facts. So,
Yeah. Yeah, and thanks again, William Unj. I need to apologize. Yeah, that was a YouTube mess. Yeah, I was with with Ask when we discovered that the YouTube had set the thing for 1 hour later. I do apologize. I'll try and fix it for next week.